Once my sort of time in the shearing shed season was over, I decided it was time for me to go back to work. And I wanted to work in a bank. Now, I'd never worked in finance before. All my positions in Queensland were all in hospitality. But I wanted to change my career. And that was part of me doing my accounting degree, was to get a position in a bank. So I did my resume up. I never had a resume before, because in Queensland I didn't have to have one. Wherever I worked, all I ever got was a job offer from different other people or whatever. I never had to have a resume. So that was a whole new experience to me, is doing up this resume. But I did, and I walked around to all the banks in Orange and I put my resume in to find a job. And then I decided, because I always was a first aid officer as a child, as a young person, I kept my first aid up all the time. So I thought I'll go and do a first aid degree course of a night time at TAFE. And when I was there, I met this lady who worked in the credit union at Orange. And I was telling her that I'd put an application in there and that I was trying to, get a job. She said, "Oh, we really need people like you." Now, this person seen something in me that, even with no experience in a bank, that I would be good for this job. Regardless of what my uncle and my family and different people had told me that I was a piece of shit, this person seen something in me. And she said, "Come into the office tomorrow and see the supervisor there, and we'll see how you go." Well, I ended up getting the job. So I went in and seen this lady, and I actually got the position in the credit union, which was really good. I worked very hard when I first went there. Oh, well, I always work hard. I learnt the tellers. That's where I first started out. And I ended up being the one person that held the record for the most transactions. I think I still hold the record for that. But that's probably really because we've gone into internet and phone banking and things, whereas it used to all be in and out. I learnt every position through the credit union, and I ended up being the internal relief officer. We went through a hold-up in the time when I was there, in which was pretty stressful for all of us who worked there at the time. Some people took them years to recover from it. Then after I applied, I wanted to buy a house, so I got our housing loan through the credit union, in which was good, low interest rates because I was staff, and then we bought our new home. While working at the credit union, I also decided to do a diploma in business through TAFE of a night time, in which was really good. Always had a knack for it, I suppose, wanting to expand myself. Then I also did, one of the girls that I worked with at the credit union, she used to like to have her nails done with the acrylic nails. She was one person that really couldn't afford to spend all that kind of money. And I said to her, "Well, how about I do a course in it, learn how to do it, and I'll do your nails for you." "Yeah, that'd be great. So I also did that at TAFE of a night time. But then the course did cost me so much money, so I decided to recuperate my money back. So after work all day at the credit union, I went then mobile doing people's fingernails. And sometimes I'd do 2 and 3 sets of nails of a night time, almost every night, which was very tiring. Sometimes I could be out at 12 o'clock at night, and then I'd have to drive all the way home. But it was, once again, a way of me making money. I really wanted to pay our house off and be able to afford the renovations that we were wanting to do in the house. While I was working full-time at the credit union, every now and again, my husband would go back and shear in a shearing shed that I happened to work in. And some of the farmers said, we only want Loretta to be the rouseabout. We'll work around her. So I would take time off holidays from my permanent job for a week or 2 weeks, whatever it was, however long it was going to take us to do this shearing, in which was good. I didn't mind, but I never really got a rest. So also while I was working full time and I was doing the nails of the night time, and then we'd still do landmarking and different things on the weekend. The main thing I really disliked about the shearing shed was the maggots. When you get a fly-blown sheep and there's maggots everywhere and you've got to pick them up, I'd be heaving because I have a very weak stomach. Anything like that, I just heave, but the boys would always make me pick it up. But my husband would, as he'd be shearing and there'd be maggots going everywhere, he'd be going, bleh, bleh, in which would make me go, and he did it on purpose. He thought it was so funny. So did everybody else. I didn't think it was very funny. Next thing I'm outside heaving. I stayed at the Orange Credit Union for approximately 7 years, and I became very good friends with a lot of the staff who I worked with. I am still very good friends with them. I see them from time to time, especially if I go back to Orange. I call in and see them all. We talk or on Facebook. Facebook is a wonderful thing for those kind of things. After about 7 years, I didn't like the HR guy that I worked under. So, and I talked to my husband about it, and, I said, I don't want to work there anymore. And, I didn't really need to go to work as such all that much. We could have afforded for me to stay at home and just do the little bit of shearing and things, but I wanted to pay our house off. But I didn't want to go there to work. I'm a funny person. If I get out of bed in the mornings and I have to go to work and it's just like, oh, I hate going there, I really don't want to go there, that's it, I'm out. I don't stick around. There's no point in being somewhere that you really hate going. Life's too short and you're a long time at work. So I went into work on this Friday morning. I had a talk to the HR guy about a few issues, and I said to him, is that your final decision? He said, yes. I said, well, I'm taking holidays this afternoon. I'm taking a month's leave. Here's my resignation. I'm also giving you a month's notice. And that was it. I walked out. I don't continue to go to a place where I really hate going. The HR guy went in and talked to the manager, and the manager came out and called me into his office and had a talk to me about it, wanted me to change my mind. And I said, no, sorry, I'm not changing my mind. Even when I was on leave, the manager rang me a few times and said, now that you've had some time off, do you want to come back? And I said no. And even for a couple of years after that, every now and again I'd run into the manager or whatever, said, oh, you sure you really don't want to come back? And it was like, no, I'm done. Once I'm done, I'm done. One of the customers that used to come into the credit union, she had a admin contracting business where she'd book staff out for, emergency leave or whatever. And she rang me and asked if I would go and work for her for a while. And I said, yeah, sure. In which was interesting. I got to do a lot of different jobs. I went to work at the radio station in Orange for a little while, do a little bit of relief work there, answering phones or just admin stuff, putting data in. And then I was asked if I got a position, I think it was for about a month, down at Friskies, Nestle, in Blamey. I did a huge big contract there for them for occupational health and safety within their workforce. That was good. That was very interesting. I'd never done anything like that before, but I really enjoyed that job, but it only lasted for a month. So then I was out. And I did a few other different places for her. And then there was a position vacant that I heard about at the New South Wales government job. And I thought, and she wanted to send me there, but I'd applied for a position there and they were desperately looking for staff through the drought. And she kept wanting to send me there, and the manager there said, no, we don't want Loretta. Because if I had gone there as a contract, I wouldn't have been able to work for the government within a permanent position. Totally different dynamics. So they kept refusing to have me. I ended up getting the permanent position in the New South Wales government, so that was good. And I once again was there for 7 years. It seems to be a thing with me, 7 years in a job, and I've had enough. But it was a good job. First of all, I started off in Farm Biz, which is where we organised training for the farmers to learn to run their farms better, I suppose. And then from there, the drought hit. So then I went in to do the drought relief applications for assistance, which was good. Now, the thing there was we had to do at least, I think it was 2 applications per day. And myself and one other lady within the department, we would do anywhere between 10 to 15 applications a day. Like, you had to submit for further advancement these applications. Some would only do their 2. We would do anywhere between 10, 15 a day. So of course we were the boss's pets. Of course, when you are putting in an effort in a position and there's people there who have been in these other positions working around you for so many years and only doing the bare minimum, of course there is a lot of jealousy and people wanting to bring you back into line so you don't make them look bad. Well, anyway, I'll get to that a little bit further. I'm going to continue on now and talk about a bit more life in New South Wales.